हाँ वही वीडियो का ना. Hello, my friends all here. A little, we have Chairman NDIM Bansal Saab right here. We have the stalwarts R.N. Khazanchi Saab. For the students to know, R.N. Khazanchi Saab is the highest civilian honor. I would say he has been given the Druk Thukse in Bhutan, and he is also the presidential awardee, Prasad Bharatiya. Please give him a big hand. He has been here before, but for the last 2 years, we're not having him because of certain health reasons. He has taken time out for us and he has come. So it's a big day for us. We have my dear friend, Dr. Jagveer Rawat, who is transforming the rural economy sector and also trying to integrate, I would say, the rural economy in a very different way and also into organic fertilizer. He is the pioneer in organic fertilizer in India. And he is leading it all around, not only for Haryana, but also for the rest of the country. We'll see a lot of changes. Please give a big hand to Dr. Jagveer Rawat. He founded first an organization called FICADS, but now he's heading what we call at the Bharat Innovation Research and Development Forum. Am I right, sir? So that's what it is. Other than that, he needs no other introduction because he's one of the stalwarts in the revolution that will happen for the farm sector. Something different from just, where we have on one side, we see minimum support price being discussed. On the other side is to find out how to make the farm activity a highly coordinated and circular economy. And I would say the green economy, which we keep talking about, right? Both urban and rural, no divide. So that's what Rawat Saab is working on. I have with me my dear friend, Mr. Dugar, Dharmendra Dugar, who is into a different area, gems and jewelries. And he comes all the way from Jaipur to meet all of you. Please give a big hand to him. So I have a dear friend, Khazanchi Saab's colleague, who built the Tala project, both of them stalwarts, DP Goyal, just besides him. Please see, he was the fastest project hydropower completed in the country was Karcham Wangtu, 4 years flat, done by this gentleman. Please give him a big hand. It was also done in the private sector. That time it belonged to the JP group, right? Of course, the project now is with JSW. Am I right? The asset has gone to them. But it was built under the JP group by him, right? Not only that, both of them completed one of the best projects in the Indo-Bhutan, the Tala hydroelectric project, 1020 megawatt. It was a challenge of sorts that came before the bilateral, which we'll be discussing today. 2008, India and Bhutan declared a 10 gigawatt worth of bilateral. Before that project had come. It was a landmark. In fact, if I say that Dr. MANMOHAN Singh's time saw that also. And that was the encouragement to go to the bilateral. So please give a big hand to him. Honored by the King of Bhutan. A gentleman who's honored by the King of Bhutan with the Druk Thukse is amongst us. Honored as by the President with the Presidential Award of the Pravasi Bharati. So he's sitting amongst us. So you people must feel very proud that आपके मध्य ही आए हैं. Then I have my dear friend Tamal Mitra, who is into another revolution. His revolution is he's another agro man, and I am happy that Rawat Saab is meeting him today because अब इनको जोड़ना भी था, वो भी जुड़ गए. He is trying to bring on your plate the organic produce direct from farm to your plate. That is the kind of, I can only define it this way. Am I right, sir? इसके आगे भी बोल सकते हैं, लेकिन we'll get a chance. He has spoken before. But these are all revolutionaries because they are trying to do things differently than what used to happen in the past, right? And all of them, age is not a barrier. It's only a number, right? Remember that. You're young, old. A startup can be started like, when Kentucky Fried Chicken started it was like 65, right? Age of 65, this guy starts. And then he makes money, right? He becomes big. So these stories are not very old. These are, I would say, we can look at the last 30, 40 years and we can see wonders happening. What happened to DeepSeek now? They blasted everybody out. What is the amount they have spent? 52 crores they have only spent. And I'm sorry, I'm saying this. All our IT companies, CEOs are receiving 42 crores salary, but none of them had the heart. They were chicken-hearted not to spend that money to bring a software which can actually tell you that all the data shit that you're talking about goes into the Arabian Sea now and the Bay of Bengal. यही हुआ ना डीप सीक में, और क्या हुआ? बिकॉज मैं कई सालों से कह रहा था डेटा माइनिंग क्यों करनी पड़ रही है तुम्हें, कोई नहीं सुन रहा था। डेटा माइनिंग करने की क्या जरूरत है? अगर आप एक इंटेलिजेंट सॉफ्टवेयर डिजाइन करें, वो अपने आप थ्रो करेगा आपकी सब कुछ चीज। तो विदाउट एनीथिंग 52 crore इज व्हाट इज स्पेंट टू मेक डीप सीक. सो यू कैन इमेजिन व्हाट इट इज डन. इट इज मेड एवरीबडी लुक लाइक सम काइंड ऑफ फूल, यू नो. इतना चाहिए, इतना डेटा हमको प्रोसेसिंग के लिए चाहिए, इतने प्रोसेसर चाहिए, ये चाहिए. डीप सीक 2 दिन में तुम्हारी हवा निकाल दी, you know. And the way Nvidia fell, you know, like it lost historical in the stock market. So all this hypes, ये जो गुब्बारे हैं, फवारे हैं, ये ऐसे नीचे आएंगे, आपको समझ में नहीं आएगी. कितनी बड़ी कॉलेज से पढ़ें, कुछ नहीं होगा. Better to be here at the NDIM to hear things, you know. Sometimes I feel like that, you know, because होता क्या है कि people are thinking, I met people from Harvard, Stanford, they are unable to understand what will happen to their students. They are asking where is the future. क्योंकि पढ़ाई तो हो रही है, पैसे तो खर्च हो रहे हैं, फ्यूचर क्या है पता क्या किसी को. तो ये हालात है हमारे. तो विल बी वेरी केयरफुल. तो टुडे वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डे. वी आर मीटिंग फॉर 2 purposes. On the right you can see the picture of the book that is going to be released, and we are waiting for great gentleman TK Iyer, who is with your institution, and thanks to Bansal Saab that we have him. But I have met him a couple of times, and also somewhere in my Kerala group where I'm involved, he's also there silently watching everything. And his name is, you know, he's a very respected man, not only in Kerala, but actually he was a principal advisor and also the secretary in the PMO for 2 prime ministers. And both the prime ministers' biography now, luckily I am through with it. The first one was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. That was my first biography on a prime minister called Atal SHASTRA. And today I am releasing the MANMOHAN GRANTH, which is on Dr. Manmohan Singh, the great man. And he was secretary to both the prime ministers. So we'll have him here, right amongst us. And of course, you are our lucky institution because he's on your governing board, thanks to Bansal Saab's friendship. And what to say? Manmohan Singh Saab, if he had worked or given his name to 2 institutions, the one institution I don't remember is the Chandigarh one. The other was NDIM. So give a big hand to yourself. So with this brief, I thought we will see the film, if we can put that up. Am I right? First, Tyaga, first the film, yeah. So let's see that.
Get jobs while they're at the campus. So we have been, God has been very kind, industry has been very supportive, sir, because the students are supposed to pass out after 24 months. Our students get jobs almost 6 months before that, sir. They're at the campus only for about 18 months. Yes, sir.
That's his greatest strength, sir. That's the best.
Industry supports us in a very big way.
rigorous and continuous institution-industry interface goes a long way in improving this teaching learning process. I'm very happy to know that NDIM has been declared the best industry-linked management institution 2 years in a row in 2017 and 2018 by surveys conducted by the Government of India, AICTE and the Confederation of Indian Industry. I understand that many other objective surveys by SHM, KPMG, PwC and such others have also lauded the contribution of your institution as an effective provider of industry-defined management skill sets. I congratulate your college for its stellar performance as a responsible, progressive institution in bridging the skill gaps. I would expect the graduates to continue to learn, unlearn, realm, to remain contemporary in their skills.
Lights are back. Okay, I want to know, Tyaga is there? I want to know if is it possible to, because we have more speakers now. So in the meantime, we continue, because we have still, Nair has still to arrive. So let me start a little bit on the journey, why this book and all that, because that I'll complete before, so that whatever time we have lost, we can finish it here. So basically, there were 3 prime ministers whose biography I have done already. One was ATAL SHASTRA, on none other than Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, 2016 that was. Then came, it took a long time for the second one. It was in the 101st birth anniversary of Narasimha Rao, that in Telangana, right in Hyderabad, I released that at the Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce. It was Narasimha Sutra. That was 2022. Okay? And then what happened is 2023 was the third one called RAJIVA SAMHITA on Rajiv Gandhi. So, I don't know, all these took time for me, right? But here, I was preparing because I was studying. Last 5 years was an eye-opener for me. What was the eye-opener? I saw that most of the policies that actually began during Dr. MANMOHAN Singh era, that have come to the forefront now. They are sitting at the cusp of, I would say, taking shape. And a great example was my interview with Pankaj Pachauri on that NDTV Profit channel when the Indo-US nuclear deal was going on. I was a big critic of Pankaj himself, because once he ended up calling my brother, saying that your brother is using very tough language in the, magazine. It started, PMO se tabhi shuru ho gaya tha. ठीक है, tough language. And now it's probably, I don't want to comment, but then they started talking what I said. Are you making a call to ask me a favor, or are you making a call? Even I asked, are you threatening me? So that was my way of talking to him. So he was completely flabbergasted. नहीं, I said, just, मैंने कहा यार तुम गलतियां करोगे, ऐसी चीजें करोगे, which actually takes my country to a wrong direction, and then probably the PM himself will get into that situation. So what do I do? You want people like us to keep quiet, and what did you do in your NDTV when you were there? And now in the PMO, after Sanjay Baru, he took charge as his private secretary and media secretary, basically. So that's the time there was this kind of a skirmish. And before that was, much before that was this interview, which happened in NDTV Profit, where there was a US Republican. I was there, I was a lone man out, saying that the Indo-US nuclear deal, that time it was an idea called the Glenn Amendment, which I've written in the book. Glenn Amendment was basically to stop you from doing any nuclear activity. Basically, it was an amendment passed off by Mr. Glenn, and that was being looked at to be imposed upon India, so that India cannot acquire any nuclear technology, India cannot acquire anything. It was in front of us. And then I moved the discussion that it is going to be, especially we were talking to Garg Saab some time back, it was thorium reactors. So basically my idea was, right now before we come to the thorium cycle, we needed the uranium to enrich our system, and even the FBR needed some quantum of uranium. So it was always good that the 123 agreement could actually open our chances to buy the fuel from the nuclear suppliers group. And that particular interview was run in the, I don't know whether they ran in the parliament, but they mentioned that interview where I said it's all about energy, right? And everybody said, वो अय्यर साहब एनर्जी की बात कर रहे हैं, पर बेसिकली इसमें हथियार बनाए जाएंगे. ये पोजीशन हमारे यूएस रिपब्लिकन्स की थी. मतलब the fellow who was representing was an Indian. He had migrated from Uttar Pradesh off to America, and he's coming on the channel saying, ये अय्यर साहब रास्ता दूसरी तरफ ले जा रहे हैं. मैंने कहा यही बात होगा. Many years later we will understand why it was so important. Today I can tell you it's not difficult for India to arrange nuclear fuel. Yes, we made some blunders because we didn't go to the thorium cycle. It has taken years for us. But I will tell you that it was Dr. MANMOHAN Singh who said we'll build 60 gigawatt of nuclear power plants. And अब जो बात हो रही है वही 60, 75 का 100 की बात हो रही है. वो खाली नंबर बढ़ा दिए, काम नहीं हुआ है. And another danger is when we go to the current cycle of nuclear reactors and we increase the capacity from 250 megawatt to 750, I can assure you, I'm warning the government that you will become a massive importer of nuclear fuel. And you'll again go into the hands of the same nuclear cycle instead of developing your own thorium reactors or working on the Kalpakam fast breeder to commercialize it further. So there is by increasing capacity of the current nuclear power plants and rating and just patting our back that we have now indigenously 750 megawatt individual unit, it's of no meaning for us because that would end up importing more nuclear fuel. That means we are more into the trap of the nuclear fuel suppliers in the world group. So in fact, Manmohan Singh saw the vision. In fact, it started from Homi Jahangir Baba, and we had another friend whose biography I have released here, who was very close to Manmohan Singh ji. Who I think all the people, most of you will know, Dr. V. Krishnamurthy. Dr. V. Krishnamurthy was so close, and in fact, Manmohan Singh ji liked him so much that the National Manufacturing Competitive Council was founded in 2004 by Dr. Manmohan Singh, and it was wound off exactly in 2014. And I don't want to say why good, bad, or ugly, but that's a repository which is lost, and some of that is lying with me because I worked very closely at the time for the importation of boiler turbine generators. We even discussed solar and all those issues. So these issues are affecting us because we could not become a manufacturing economy. And Manmohan Singh had the vision to see that a National Manufacturing Competitive Council was established to ensure that India goes to the Make in India, Make for India game. So I just given you 2 examples, but there are many examples in my book which actually will tell you that he was a great visionary. He was an absolute statesman. Most of us agree. But I believe that there were only 2 great statesmen in that time. One was Angela Merkel, who was a physicist and a scientist, and she was the only competitor to Dr. Manmohan Singh. So if you see what decisions these guys made, and in fact, it's in one of the chapters I've written how Merkel consulted during the European crisis Dr. Manmohan Singh. So she said, I could only go to that man, right, to understand what I should do. So this was the kind of thing. And Obama came up with saying that when Dr. Manmohan Singh speaks, the world listens. Can you imagine? This is the type of Prime Minister. So you are a generation, you probably are lucky that you saw that video and that he came right here, right, at this place, and the blessings are there for you. But maybe you pick up this book, know a little bit, research more, and I would say next, until the 2050, you will see major influences of what Dr. Manmohan Singh did coming back and back and back again to you. So if we can work on that, it's very important because when I was with Krishnamurthy Saab, he was all praise for Manmohan Singh. He was always telling, he's a good man. This was his view. And he said he is serious about the manufacturing sector. And Krishnamurthy Saab worked starting from, you can imagine, from Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And the last Prime Minister he worked with was Dr. Manmohan Singh. So, coming from that man, worked with Jawaharlal Nehru, and he was a senior to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. If I tell you, the Kalam Saab became president, but Krishnamurthy was senior to Kalam. By age, by experience, by knowledge. Because who mentored Dr. V. Krishnamurthy? His first mentor was none other than Homi Jahangir Baba. Right? It is written in that biography of mine, Krishnamurthy. So, when he was mentored, it was Baba who told him, "Bhai, we are searching for this nuclear thing, I am working on it. But ये industrialization तो नेहरू साहब की जो है, इसके लिए बिजली कौन बनाएगा? Who will bring?" That's how Krishnamurti Saab came as, later on Secretary Power, but before that he was a research officer for the power in the Planning Commission, 1956. And we as children, I would say we got into the NITs thanks to Krishnamurti. So there was a lot of link, the Krishnamurti, Kalam. I've got a chapter, brief one, on the, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Krishnamurti, Kalam, trio, how they work together. How Kalam, because see, TIFAC was founded by Krishnamurti and Kalam was a member in TIFAC. Chairman was Dr. Krishnamurti, right? And when it was founded, Pura came in. He and Shivatanu Pillai, they went into Pura. हमारे जगीर राव साहब बैठे हैं, तो basically Pura पे काम वहाँ शुरू हुआ. So it was then, beyond that is what we wrote in our book in 2003, that is RELC, Remote Location of Strategic Infrastructure and Industry. And that's what Rawat Saab is achieving, right? So, what is theoretically put or ideated, you'll see models coming in from different dimensions. So these models will come again, over and over again. When I used to discuss RELC with Kalam Saab, he used to say, with Krishnamurti Saab, he used to say, Iyer, you should have met me 10 years ago. It is like this idea should have come to us 10 years ago. अब ये अभी आई है तो अब करना पड़ेगा, because we would have been better off. So something like that. So these are all stalwarts. Lucky that we got an opportunity to work with them, see them think. Even when he could come only 3 hours at the Vigyan Bhavan, he would come continuously. And even Manmohan Singh Saab, he was a workaholic in his own way, in his own rights. He is not last minute tak, अच्छा, उन्होंने कोई साधन use नहीं की है. There are stories like he never allowed his car to be used by the family. So it was such a frugal life. I don't think after Lal Bahadur Shastri we could have seen any Prime Minister doing that, right? So we have not highlighted these things or talked about it. Good, bad or ugly, some decisions are made, some are wrong, some are right. वो अपनी जगह है. लेकिन whether the man was honest to himself and to the chair, I would say, you would say yes, he was. He wanted to do something for the country. He was concerned about this nation and he very much deeply till the end thought about the nation. So that is the greatness of Dr. Manmohan Singh, And you can write so much, but I don't write long books because Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia made me do this. I went to him in 2005 and I was trying to write a book on the power sector. 2003 we had done India Brandished, Superpowering Brand India. 3 books had come. This one, Kalam Saab's India 2020 and Gushran Das India Unbound. These were the 3 first books that came on India. We were the, off-track guys, the young Iyer brothers writing it, These 2 were stalwarts, who had written that time. But our book also became famous and it continues to, make waves. And we have done a Bhutan Brandish, which was released, second was released here. And I again gave to people in Bhutan last week and they were astounded. Professor, some of them did not get my book, so I took copies and gave it to them. So it was a very exciting time to explain to them how this book has emerged after the India Brandished. Now, when I explained these 2 books, basically what happened is, out of that came the discussion with Krishnamurti, Kalam, and now it comes to Manmohan Singh, right? Because all the connections of the books you can see from the beginning to end leads to Dr. Manmohan Singh's work. Because it culminated, in fact, if you see the Golden Quadrilateral also, people will say it stopped. No, it did not stop. See, once we built the Mumbai-Pune Expressway, right? After that, several expressways came. Who progressed that expressways? Who continued the Golden Quadrilateral movement? Maybe there was a hiatus of 6 months, I believe. But everything, India's infrastructure started furthering at that time itself. We are only building on it, right? From Vajpayee's vision to Manmohan Singh's vision, we are building on it. Do we have any new idea? Maybe we said, okay, new schemes, hybrid annuity, we can bring new scheme, build on operate transfer. ये चीजें हमने कह दी, कर दी. लेकिन the idea is the same thing. Manrega, from where it came? It came during the era of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Your Aadhaar card, it was a thing that started at the time. And of course, at the time, people who are sitting in power today opposed that time, but now it become the country's in thing, right? But it's very funny. When Tyagarajan was traveling with me, he was supposed to travel with me. He could not travel because 4 months इनका पासपोर्ट 4 months बाकी रह गया है. तो अभी रूल आ गया भूटान में कि 6 महीने होना चाहिए. उन्होंने भी कर दिया. And they did not accept our Aadhaar card for him to travel. Can you believe it? So ये अब कौन ठीक करेगा? ये कौन सा बाबू ठीक करेगा? You can imagine what I am telling you. Then they are telling you enter from Bagdogra. So भाई हम फ्लाइट से एंटर करें चाहे कुछ करें, भाई हमारी आधार कार्ड मानो. Earlier it was Aadhaar card and even your driving license. So if a small country, Bhutan, now stalls you, what is your response to them? What is your diplomatic response to them? So sometimes you'll feel like we are powerless, So the rule is rule. ऐसे हुआ. So this time Tyaga did not travel with me. But next time he's going to travel with me. Luckily, utna work nahi tha. It was only my meetings. So I was okay. Otherwise, I would have to land in Bagdogra and we have to go from eastern side. And you can imagine what bloodbath is happening on the east between Bhutan and us. You cannot imagine. At Jaigaon, everything is sold at an exorbitant price to them. The border district. From Finsoling they come, all their vehicles which come, I don't know what all they face there. Right? So you can imagine what bloodbath I'm talking about. So we need to think about our neighbors. We need to have leadership which actually thinks. And I tell you, the feelings I got again in Bhutan for Manmohan Singh Dr. Manmohan Singh was amazing. They say, he only gave this. Most officers talk the same way. They say, it started there. Right? All the hydropower. So there was the hydropower equation that was started with Bhutan was mega. 10 gigawatt was declared. Of course, we have not achieved much out of that, but it was declared then. And we have stalwarts, I don't need to speak much, but I would like now to invite first Bansal Saab, our chairman, to the dais. Bansal Saab, can we have you, sir? The next, and I hope somebody can help Khazanchi Saab. Goel Saab, inko le aiye, Saab ko. Please give a big hand. May I request Garg Saab also to please join the dais? May I request Bawa Saab to please come over, sir? Video बाद में बन जाएगी, sir. May I request Jagveer Rawat to please come? वो जरा संभालिए, सब गिर रही हैं. हाँ, उसके पीछे रखो. May I also request the people who are controlling the AC to make it a little stronger? So we will wait for Nair Saab anyway, but we have a absolute top and dais here. I request all of you to give a big hand to this dais. And I will also request Supriya to please join, because the only woman power here. All men. So please join. भाई तालियां फिर बजा दीजिए. So Supriya Sharma is a sustainability expert and works in the area of SDG predominantly, but she has a checkered career in various areas, including, I would say, investment banking. A little bit, yeah. So good. So we have her because I must tell you that our organization REPA is now working on one of the most interesting funding models in the world. And so maybe we'll need time with her whenever we get a chance to see how we can engage her in this, in some ways. So Bansal Saab, may I begin with your talk, because it's first yours, then फिर हम बातें करेंगे. Please give a big hand to him.
Thank you very much, Professor Iyer. I'm sure the students are aware that Professor Iyer is one of our honorary deans here, and he finds out a lot of time for connecting the students here with the possibility of future, possibility of jobs in the renewable energy sector. It was 3 years back that he started teaching our students on that path, and every year about 60 or 70 students are benefiting out of the certificates of learning that he is issuing. So we are very grateful to him. And in the coming days, as he mentioned, all of you are aware,
Now, of course, he's coined the word, renewability beyond sustainability. So, of course, the whole world is talking of sustainability, but you listen to him, he's a master into this field, and if you seriously get into what he's talking about, if you seriously learn and listen to it, rather than just that sab padha diya to bas theek hai, kaam chal gaya, certificate mil gaya, that's not going to help you. If you really want to benefit, please be with him and learn from him, and he spares so much of time for us without charging a single pipe from any one of you. So we are grateful, Professor Iyer, for this new learning that you added to this campus. And of course, all the stalwarts sitting here, NDM continues to be grateful to them that they spare time for us every time we call them, every time there's something new. They are willing to come despite their health challenges, despite so many other things. Ultimate purpose of each one of them is only you, the students. They just want you to be getting groomed to the future. Books is just one thing. Books is only yesterday. Unless you learn to do something, unless you learn what is written in the books, unless you learn how to practice and apply it, everybody in the world is reading books. I don't know how many of you saw the very recent reports. I'm sure you know that Harvard is known to be the Mecca of education and the Mecca of MBA. What is the unemployability rate at Harvard? You know there's unemployability there. What is the rate and why is it? 23% of MBA graduates at Harvard in the last 2 years have not got jobs. And what is the reason? There's a big research that has gone across the world, across all the education verticals of the world as to what has happened to Harvard. You know the reason? They too are teaching like everybody else is teaching. The student doesn't know how to apply the teaching. The student doesn't know what is the learning and how to apply the learning. And what is the emphasis over here? All your 15 marks, all your 10 marks, all your continuous assessment marks, they're after you, they're after your life as to see how exactly can you apply the learning that you got. So I tell the students and I tell the faculty here that you can be not the next Harvard but better than them, because there's no application review happening at Harvard. It is only happening at this institution. And today also, when Iyer Sahab fixed this opportunity of MANMOHAN Singh ji's biography that is written, we are having a board directors meeting at 3:30. And since morning, the board only wants to know how does the student apply the skills. Okay, so the emphasis on application-based learning is very, very strong at NDIM. I'm only telling you that part, and I'll just tell you that recently, last week only, some of you, I don't know whether some of you or who others, they went to Skylark Cargo Group. They are the mentors, they are new mentors, and 6 of our students went for mentoring there with the chairman of the SLK group. And he told me last night that we were so happy to meet your students. These students were from the operations. He said the questions and the number of questions, the quality of questions they asked were very surprising to us. We have never seen students calling or asking these kinds of questions. So we are trying our best to open your minds. Reason is, I'll just tell you 2 small instances with Dr. MANMOHAN Singh ji. When he was exiting the campus after the convocation, and I sat with him, I said, Sahab, now you have told us so many things. Tell me something that you feel the new generation must be doing. What is your experience? What should I tell the students to do what? What did he say? And nobody would know what he said. He had so much faith in the new generation. Please understand, you need to have faith in your own selves. Most of you are wasting this time into various other activities. These 2, 3, 4 years at the campus We are making your future. These are the only precious time making your future. Please come, sir. We're waiting for you.
Sir, we are waiting
No,
for
we
you,
are
sir.
yet to start the whole thing, sir. Please come.
come.
Yeah. No, sir. No, we are sorry for the late conveyance reaching you, sir. Yeah. Yeah. It's very bad,
Keeps
sir.
you
Yeah.
on the road for 2
Yes,
hours.
yes, sir. So we are grateful to Nair Sahab. He was the person that Mr. Iyer introduced. He was for 10 years advisor and principal secretary to Dr. Mohan Monsoon. And immediately the government changed. Nair Sahab joined our board of directors. And can you believe that he's come from Trivandrum yesterday to attend this board meeting? He could have attended the board meeting online. Why did he come? Because they are really concerned as to see whether you're getting the right education or not, whether we are creating right future for you people or not. So we should be, your life, all of you, we need to be indebted to such people who are so much concerned about your careers more than your parents. And I was talking to you about Dr. Singh when I asked him, and he said कि बंसल साहब अब हम इनको क्या सिखाएंगे, अब हमारा टाइम इनसे सीखने का है. So please understand the statement that he gave. He had so much of faith in your hard work, in your wisdom, in your future. So time has come that you come forward with new ideas, you come forward with great things. What you still do not know. All the time you see difficulties after you, how to be respectful to each other, how to be taking care of each other. Can you believe that when I went to invite him at his residence, he was frail, he was not very healthy. Yet he said, I will make tea for you. To me it was, I mean, you can call it shocking, you can call it disturbing, you can call it anything. It was amazing. And he made it a point that he will come and see you off in the porch and keep standing till the car takes off. Do you do these things at all? To your friends, to your colleagues, to your seniors, you don't do it. So we have to be learning things every minute on what is happening around and what these great people have been doing. So today Nair Sahab has come, and since we have to go for the board meeting, I'll not take more time. I'll invite Professor Iyer that he release the book, and then we'll request Nair Sahab, who has been closest to him and longest with him for all these years, so that we really learn something more about his contribution to the growth of this nation and his contribution to the future of each one of you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Bansal Saab. Always a great encouragement to hear you. And may we have the books, please, so that the first job is release the book, please. Yeah. 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 Let her. सब ले लेंगे बेटा. You show to them and so that to give it to them. हाँ, people will take. फोटो बाद में लीजिए.
This could as well be a competition, how to unwrap it.
भाई तालियों में दम होना चाहिए. Now, without fail, it has been a journey. Nair Sahab has come, so just 2 words. Okay. So, Nair Sahab is right amongst here. It's a very lucky day that this book is released by him. And I was telling Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia gave me an idea. I was just going to say that. And he told me for the power sector, I was writing a book, sir. Powering in Crisis, that time. So, Dr. Ahluwalia, I met him. So, he said, Iyer Sahab, don't write too much. You take the idea of a 100-page book. So he was the man who sent me on this leather hunt on 100-page books. Less than 100 pages is what we would like to read. So I wrote that book, Powering in Crisis, within that. And it has been that trend throughout, that after the India Brandish book, which was roughly about 150 odd pages, I came down to 100 pages book. And all my biographies have been below 100 pages. So it has been, because then people read. In today, it's even worse. People are not reading. So as a journalist, where I wrote for the Indian Express Energy Talk, I learned to write crisp and short. So one of the ideas that came was from Dr. Ahluwalia himself, because he said, today people don't have time, so give us books which we can implement. So Powering in Crisis was a power sector reforms book, which became an idea, and then I have continued doing that. So that's why I write brief books, clear books, and luckily people have read it, and I'm happy that these kind of books will bring the generations to think about what these great gentlemen did for India. 4 prime ministers now: Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Atal Shastra, then Narasimha Sutra, Narasimha Rao, Rajiva Samhita, Rajiv Gandhi, and this is the 4th on the Prime Minister, MANMOHAN GRANTH. But in between I had 2 more biographies on Dr. V. Krishnamurthy, which is called PSC Pitamaha, and before that is Yogendra Prasad, another dear friend of ours, who was senior to many of us, and he was colleague of our Khazanchi Sahab, who are hydro people of the country. And also Khazanchi Sahab has built the hydropower projects in Bhutan. We all know that. It's a Druk Sukse, highest civilian honor. So I'm very happy to have all of you and see the release of this book in time. That's thanks to Bansal Sahab's encouragement to me ki aap karo bhai, isko jaldi se, and nothing. And then today was my anniversary, so my wife also, marriage anniversary, has given me the permission to come here. So the Prime Minister, this is a day when you cannot miss your home, right? So I come here, right? So this has happened. So for Dr. Manmohan Singh. So with this, I request you, sir, to enlighten us on your own work with Dr. Manmohan Singh. And maybe after you go through this book, I would receive a letter from you to further improve or further write something, further include certain things. So these books are all dynamic, The next edition has more, many times. So, Nair Sahab, it's over to you, sir. The dais is yours, sir. No worry, sir. We need to hear from you on Dr. Manmohan Singh. उसी से बोल सकते हैं, वो भी ठीक है, यही अच्छा रहेगा.
Chairman of this very prestigious institute, my good friend for a long time, Dr. Bensal, the author of the book that has just been released before us, Mr. Gopalakrishna Iyer, if I get that correctly, okay, and with a very, very distinguished, esteemed management professionals and friends of this institution adorning the dais, members of the faculty of NIDM and your students. Well, I do not know what Mr. Gopalakrishna Iyer has put into his book, but good or bad, he has assured us that it can't be more than 100 pages. So it's good. And from what he said, we know that he has mastered the art of Prissy writing, isn't it? That nothing exceeding 100 pages. Very good. I think it's a lesson for other authors also, let us hope. Well, I mean, I need not tell you that there are people who believe that the days of the printed word and the printed books are nearly over, and the new generation is taking to other modes or methods of learning things. But let's, based on whatever are the current trends, let's hope that, or let's believe that for a few more years at least, the print will dominate the what you call the transmission of knowledge from authors and others to the general public. So congratulations, Dr. Iyer, for this book. Well, as one who has spent a decade with the great Dr. MANMOHAN Singh, well, I somehow feel that I am greatly obliged to you personally also for taking the name of Dr. MANMOHAN Singh. Of course, he's known all over, not only India, all over the world. And I was telling Mr. Bensal yesterday evening that to my great surprise, I found, while I was traveling in the remote part of my native state, Kerala, that, even in the very, very remote, hilly, rural areas of that state, people know MANMOHAN Singh. At several places, where there is a road crossing or a junction, traffic used to slow down, there you have a picture of MANMOHAN Singh with, in Malayalam, we pay homage to you, and rose petals. I mean, this is not urban India. This is rural Kerala. And as you know, Dr. MANMOHAN Singh did not spend much time in Kerala. He never taught there. He did address a couple of meetings, sure. And at the same time, imagine a rural people, a rural folk who haven't had the opportunity of meeting Dr. MANMOHAN Singh or hearing him, remembering his memory with the great gratitude. Well, as Dr. Iyer would have brought out beautifully in his book, that was the essence of the man. He was humility personified. That's the way I found him. The time I met him long ago and the time I met him last, I think that particular special characteristic of that human being has not changed. He mentioned about his practice of seeing of his visitors, even when he was not in the pink of his health, coming out of the room, standing by till the car leaves, and he waves to the visitor. That was the man that he was. And it was not meant only for special people, to everybody. Whoever have had the opportunity of meeting him received the same kind of treatment. I'm sure sensitive people would have noticed that, it would have registered on them, and it would have hopefully influenced their own way of treating other people. And Dr. Iyer, I hope you have captured the other point that I am trying to make, that he is one who never cared for publicity. Never. I can say it, I have heard from him telling me, and also telling me to tell others working with us, that never make it appear to anybody that this is my achievement. No, it is not my achievement. It is a cabinet system of governance. We have a political party. Within that, we are all contributing to decisions. So the credit or discredit, he won't say discredit, the credit won't go to me, and make it a point to convey it to everybody. And I did convey it on several occasions to several people, who some of them are leaders still alive, saying that please make sure that no particular credit or praise is given to Dr. MANMOHAN Singh for this. You've got any number of schemes, any number of schemes, starting with this Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Generation Program, then plethora of programs, and the new beginnings made. You remember the Right to Information Act? I mean, it's such a path-breaking legislation. And as a matter of fact, there's no state secret in it. Many of us in the bureaucracy were not very happy with that when he mooted that idea. As a matter of fact, I remember having gone to him. I never used to write much on the files. Whenever I have to convey something to him, I met him and I conveyed it informally. I said, sir, there is a great feeling among the civil service that they will be, they will be prevented, not prevented legally, but they will be hesitant to express their views on the files because of the fear that it might get into public domain, they will become subjects of dispute, kind of things. But he stood firm, no, nothing doing. It will be there. Do you remember, many of us have forgotten about it, he staked the future of his own government when it came to the Indo-US nuclear deal. I'm sure you would have mentioned that.
Full chapter.
There's a full chapter on that. I'm glad about it. At this point of time, particularly in the current context, we do not remember that. We don't, we don't think that it was such an important step for India and its relations with the rest of the world. But at the time when it was done, again, I can vouch for it. I have seen that happening. It was, the personal chemistry of two great people, if I may say, President Bush and Dr. ManMohan Singh, which was behind this. The two of them, I remember even hearing it, no secret about it. He told his people, President Bush, that I do not know the nitty-gritty of it, but I want to see that this is done. So that was the determination which came from the top. And in India, it encountered so much of discussion. It encountered, he faced so much of criticism, even from his own party. But still, he was undaunted. He was firm in his belief, in spite of his very, very, charming exterior and soft exterior, if I may say so. He had an iron will when it came to getting things done for the good of the country. He believed that opening up the nuclear sector, but today we are told very, very happily that nuclear power plants will come, hopefully in the near future. But regrettably, for a number of reasons, immediately after the agreement between India and the US was agreed, was passed, even 2-3 years later. Why 2-3 years? Even today, no great follow-up has happened on that. We have not got any new nuclear projects coming up, for a number of reasons, including, differences in policy perceptions, the Indian law, which the American companies who were interested in setting up nuclear power plants in India felt that they were very, very one-sided, and they did not take care of the interests of the investors. Anyway, be that as it may, I mentioned that as a point to emphasize the concern of the man for what he believed to be the good of his country, and also his preparedness to stake the future of his own government, his own cabinet, for getting done what he believed to be good for the country. So, we have heard during the past few days so much about the economic reforms which he initiated from the time he was the finance minister under the then Prime Minister, Mr. Narasimha Rao, and subsequently which he followed up in greater detail and greater authority when he was the Prime Minister. Well, I, for one, believes that Pandit Nehru laid the foundations of modern India, and subsequent Prime Ministers, particularly Dr. ManMohan Singh, built upon that. You see, this country is not built by one person. It is not built in a year. It's not built by a group of people. A succession of people, succession of leadership from the time of Nehru onwards, I believe, have contributed in their own way for the building up of India. India was you know what India was in 1947. We were a country which was hungry for food grains. We didn't have enough to eat. We were looking for the PL480 wheat to come from the United States and to the ports. We used to say that from the port to the mouth. That was the story of India at that time. And over a period of time today, we are one of the exporters of wheat and rice and also milk products, dairy products, etc., etc. So we have traveled a long way. And I believe, for one, that each Prime Minister has made his own contribution. But history will be a better guide. Even today, we may not be able to properly understand the significance and the long-term impact of what Dr. MANMOHAN Singh sought to do or did. So as he himself used to say, when he was under severe criticism from his own party, as a human being once in a while, he also would feel a little uncomfortable. But as it has come out in the news channels, etc., later on these days, he would say that he believed history would be a better judge. I have heard it from him, not once, more than once, and he was also not unduly perturbed by the criticism he faced. He was very severely criticized when he was Prime Minister by his own party also, unfortunately, at times, particularly in the beginning, but later on, that was the Indo-US nuclear deal, and one of the partners of the UPA, the Communist Party, they left as a result of it. So in spite of all these shocks, he stood firm, stood fast, for the reason that he believed it was for the good of India. So here was a man who lived truly in the service of the country. And I think that would be a very, very inspiring example for our younger generation. And I hope you would have the opportunity to read this book. And there are many other things which are coming about him. I mean, he is a human being. We are all human beings. He may not be, totally free from shortcomings. Every human being has his or her shortcomings. But the contribution that individuals make, or in this case, what Dr. MANMOHAN Singh made, well, I think that many, many years to come, you never know what is going to happen in the age of AI and whatnot, but so long as we human beings live and think and talk about things, I think successive generations of Indians would be grateful to him, and many, many people outside India. He has a quote from Obama. We have seen his interaction with various other people without making any extra effort to endear himself to people or to project himself. History has shown that he succeeded that much more than any other personal effort at projecting oneself. So I join you and him in paying our respects to the memory of Dr. MANMOHAN Singh. And I would request Bansal Sahab, to consider a suitable way in which our institution can, immortalize him in our way. He was an academic. He was fond of you. He was fond of the institution. He came here. I still remember that. And not only that, many other people of equal, distinction have visited this institution. But maybe I am prejudiced, but I believe that Dr. MANMOHAN Singh's memory we should suitably perpetuate in some way in an academic. Thank you very much.
No, since Nair Sahab has said this, sir, me and Baba were thinking about it. We have a forum called the IMEA Forum, the India, Middle East, Africa Forum. I released a book called India, Middle East, Africa. People are not focusing. People are focusing on the India, Middle East, European corridor. But actually we need a trade bloc called the India, Middle East and Africa. So I'm trying to write to the Foreign Affairs Ministry that they should focus on this. This book was launched here last year. And so similarly, yeah. And thanks to Manmohan Singh,
No, I mean, I'm thinking of not, many other institutions. I'm talking only
yeah.
really about NIDM because I think, his invisible presence helped NIDM
Yes, for sure.
in a big way, and I hope that it should be in the academic field.
So that's what we are trying to do.
Maybe a scholarship or maybe
Yeah.
of course, an annual.
Yeah, but we wanted to create a forum on Manmohan. That was the Manmohanomics Forum. That came from Baba Sahab. Am I right, sir? Because his economic thinking.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah, that's right. So exactly what you said.
and he was so keen about education because he himself was, his background.
Yeah.
In the field of education, the number of scholarships which he got instituted. So, you got your own criteria for selecting the scholars, but the good scholarship scheme, that is
Yes.
It's a great idea that has come, and
Wonderful.
we love to own it up, sir. It's a pleasure, and we request you to be rather chairing that also.
Yes.
No, sir, because
You know him so intimately and so well, which none of us even combined would be able to compensate. So it will be good that then it will assume the real proportion that's in your mind. Yeah. So purpose is to take it to that level, sir.
it
Sir.
goes without saying that
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
suggest,
No,
whatever is particularly for perpetuating the memory of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Of course, even without our effort, his memory will.
No.
For sure.
Job is to take it to the next generation students who come here, sir. Yeah. So whatever little we can put 1% into the ocean, we have to be doing, sir. It is primarily keeping us connected with his thought process and with the culture that he created and generated for each one of us. The purpose is only to stay connected with that, sir. Yeah.
And I also request you
Yes.
to consider,
Sir.
after you do a little more. When you find the time appropriate, you meet his wife.
I asked Murli last week.
Go and do that.
Mr. Murli last
I will do it. Right, sir. Because I told Mr. Murli was private secretary to Honorable Dr. Singh, and we were together last night. And I requested Mr. Murli, he said, sir, after ma'am shifts to the new house, I'm going back to Kerala. I said, Murli, no, that will be injustice to the nation. You must stay in Delhi. You are such storehouse of all the memories and information. So please stay back here. So we are going to be doing all that, sir. I requested him last night. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. And I think, at least for me, I cannot forget Dr. Manmohan Singh's, not only contribution to the economy as such, but also, sir, the huge reforms that he set in the power sector. People don't talk about it. In this book, I've tried to push that agenda. Whatever you're seeing today in the power sector, it all started with little interactions from our side and what happened at Manmohan Singh's era. And, evidence is here. Dr. Garg is sitting right across, the ex-chairman of the PFC. So I tell you, what power sector gained was mind-boggling. Before you came, sir, I spoke about Dr. Krishnamurthy's attachment with him because I was mentored by Dr. Krishnamurthy. So he used to talk a lot about him when in 2004, the National Manufacturing Competitive Council was founded. Of course, it was founded up for no reason, 2014, but the body of work, still I am attached with that body of work. It went into the boiler turbine generators that finally we suffered these Chinese giving us substandard equipment. And also when that time only he talked about the quality system and standards. And all this was going through the PMO that time. So I think, there are a lot of aspects of Dr. Manmohan Singh which are differently written in my book. And if you pick that up for many of this generation, it will be a great insight because we are now, yesterday only talking about the Indian standards for solar. And it is so pathetic that we have talked about 18% efficiency as a good efficiency. When we are coming to percosites with 23%, and I have gone to Canada and we know about a material called phenylsilane, which gets 29% efficiency. So I think we are drifting away from what Dr. Manmohan Singh had. Nuclear, like you rightly said, it was like I remember talking to Dr. Krishnamurthy that it was SMTR, small modular thorium reactor, not these SMRs. So I've written about that in the book, and we just discussed with Garg Saab also just some time back. So I think there are a lot of areas. I know, sir. So Nair Saab has to leave, and we heard him. And please give a big hand to both Nair Saab and Bansal Saab, because the board meeting will continue, and we will continue our discourse here. Thank you, Nair Saab, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Yes, sir. We'll meet in Kerala. I'm coming, sir.
Oh,
I'm coming for the hydrogen summit.
most welcome.
Yeah, so we'll surely meet.
Talking about hydrogen power for a long
Our KR Jyotilal is doing a good job, sir. Wonderful. I'm part of that group. You are also there, sir. You are a silent presence there. Your blessings are there.
time. But we see something in the foreseeable future.
I think, sir. I think something will happen. He's a wonderful guy. Jyotilal is a brilliant guy.
Okay, sir.
You please carry on. Right. Board meeting, most of them are joining.
I know. May I request Inderdeep to please join us? So he knows me. वो जानते हैं. Okay, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Yes, I'll catch up with you, sir.
I'm carrying your book too.
Yeah, sure. Thank you once again, Nair Saab and also Bansal Saab. Please give a big hand to them. भाई इंद्रदीप के लिए सीट बनाओ यार. डिस्कशन तो होगी ना आगे, लोग सुनेंगे अभी. Now the first thing is, I would request Garg Saab to throw the light. हाँ वो कर दीजिए. हाँ. वो खजांची साहब को बीच में ले आओ. बीच में आ जाएंगे ना सर आप. तू उधर बैठ जा. ये शिफ्ट कर लो सर. कोई नहीं. You be there. हाँ. Now, Inderdeep Singh, who joined us, is no less a personality. He's in fact, we are schoolmates. Then becomes like in the same batches, but in different NITs. ठीक है. And he is also the chair for the Institution of Engineers in Faridabad. He's now the chairman, right? Basically, he's the chairman for the Institution of Engineers Faridabad chapter. So, a very reputed engineer. He's a very committed man, and we have him today. And before we go ahead, the next, I would say, view on Manmohan Singh and his, I would say, Manmohanomics, I would request Dr. V.K. Garg to enlighten this audience, please, sir. Garg साहब, सबको 5-5 मिनट देते हैं, तो जितना हो सके आपको तो 5 मिनट मिलेंगे. But then we'll proceed with खजांची साहब. आप आना चाहेंगे सर इधर? अच्छा, ठीक है.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had been a student of Dr. Manmohan Singh way back in 1969-70. And I, being a student weak in mathematics, was finding it very difficult to understand the simultaneous equation models and the econometrics. And though I had taken the admission, but I was thinking I seems to have committed a blunder. Then those days, the professors used to take the tutorial at about 5 o'clock in the evening.
I would request you people not to talk. Listen to this.
So
बहुत कम time है ये.
On one such day after the class, as Dr. Manmohan Singh used to walk from the Delhi School of Economics to arts faculty के पीछे से जो staff quarters से bungalows. So generally 1 or 2 students or 3 students just used to walk across to him up to the arts faculty.
So I think the mic is.
So I happened to have that opportunity on one of the days. And I asked, sir, may I request you for a small help? He said, what is that? I said, sir, I am finding it very difficult to follow these statistical formulas because I am not able to solve the equations. He said, what is the problem with formula? He said, it is so simple. Tell me where is the problem? I told him one formula. He said, now you describe it. 5 sentences. I describe. He says, this is what? You give a value to each of your sentence and you will get the formula. So formula is nothing but a short presentation of your thought or your argument. And when I came back to the class and I looked at it, I found what he said was right, and why didn't it occur to me earlier?
Right.
And from that day onwards, I didn't look back and I studied statistics. And with that, I got through. The second experience I had was in 1984, when I was leaving for Bradford University. Just going before that time I was in the Ministry of Finance, and I was used to look after this non-resident Indians. So there was a parliament question on the Indian subsidiaries of foreign companies operating in India. And that was also one of the topics of my PhD, Management of Multinationals in Indian Economy, 1973-74 to 83-84. A decade, was it a watershed of FERA amendment that was introduced in that year. So I found there was a discrepancy in what was given in the Reserve Bank's report on currency and finance and what was reported in the parliament question. So I wrote out a letter to Dr. MANMOHAN Singh. He was Governor, Reserve Bank of India at that time. I went to Bradford. When I came back after 6 months, there was a letter, and my heart sank for a minute when I saw this is a letter from the Governor, Reserve Bank of India,
Yes.
handwritten on an inland letter.
Oh, fantastic.
And full, he used to sign in full, MANMOHAN Singh. Pura. And he had gone through the letter.
So I think they want to change the mic. Aapka.
Kya ho gaya?
It's on.
He had gone through the letter and he had gone into the aspects which I had pointed out and got those examined by the department. And then he said, there are 2 very valid points you have raised, and I am asking the department to resolve them and put an amendment to the report.
Wonderful.
But the thing which really moved me was his simplicity. Governor, Reserve Bank of India, जिसकी cutlery भी gold plated होती है. When we went for a training at the RBI Bombay, so the then governor he addressed, and the cutlery, I was surprised to find that the cutlery of the deputy governors was silver. The cutlery of the governor was gold.
Okay.
But this great man, the simplicity, writing on an inland letter, something beyond imagination.
Fantastic, sir. Unbelievable.
So these are 2 incidents I had. And third, of course, my son-in-law. हमारे समधी जो हैं, my son-in-law's father, he is a friend of his eldest, Manmohan Singh Saab's eldest daughter's husband.
Okay.
So one afternoon they went to his place on Southern Road, I think when he was finance minister. So he had put it in his blog how simple he was, how simple was his house, no servant, no paraphernalia, no poopa, only books. And he said, why don't you stay with us for lunch?
Fantastic.
And they said, no, sir, we had to go somewhere. We'll join you sometime else. They came, and what Bansal Saab narrated and what Nair Saab narrated, same thing he has written back when he was finance minister. He saw us off.
Great.
Without any pomp and show.
Absolutely.
That was the simplicity of this great man.
Wonderful, sir. As I rightly said
Thank
that
you.
time. I rightly said that time. Give a big hand to Saab. Some personal experiences. Rightly said that after Lal Bahadur Shastri, we have not seen a more simpler and a humble Prime Minister like Dr. Manmohan Singh. That's very important for all of us to understand that the chair cannot corrupt you mentally. You know, the chair has to make you balanced. You know, you should have compassion, empathy. The chair of the PM of India should have compassion, empathy, fundamental. And I think he was an embodiment of both compassion and empathy for his population. So that's what we are remembering him. And you see, what happened, we were discussing with Baba Sahab. हम discuss कर रहे थे कि forum ही बनाएंगे. Right, like the students come together. So because the economic thinking of Dr. Manmohan Singh was all pervading. As I've written in the book that even Angela Merkel consulted him. You know, Obama consulted him. And now George Bush, he simply said, I don't know about this, but he left it to Dr. Manmohan Singh to take forward the Indo-US nuclear deal. So agar itna, the world has a faith on our leader. You can imagine what type of leader we have, lost physically, but his thinking, time dimension, as rightly said, Narasa was telling, history will be kinder to me. And वो मैंने लिखा है इसमें. The first step that history will be kinder to me is my book, my friends. So the history begins here, right at this place. Now I invite Baba Sahab to say a few words, and then we'll go to Khazanchi Sahab next. We'll have each speaker speak something on two issues, Manmohan Singh and Indian economy.
Good afternoon, friends. It is always good to attend Professor's biography release, and second, which I am fortunate to be associated. And what goes into the book is another thing, but the way it comes, how spontaneously, how actively, or how with what passion he brings out, and that's what compels you to get connected. So that's how I got connected. And the moment we got the sad news about the demise of late Dr. Manmohan Singh, there was a lot of social media posts were being shared, and one came from Bansal Sahab, and and we were just thinking, what a nice, humble person he was. He wrote, "Sach mein Rab da banda siha." And I said, yes, this was the word I was searching. Sachmuch Rab da hi banda siga wo. And that's what now everybody is telling. Everybody is telling. And once we are remembering any person, we can only remember by his act, and deeds always haunt you, good or bad. So good deed, that's why it is haunting him. And I hail from Amritsar, and we share the common hometown. But whenever at home, I had very few interaction, sometimes from a distance, some from a close interaction, when we are making some releases or some big functions where Prime Minister invite, so we had interaction. But his humbleness was visible. As everybody has been saying, he never thought that he is a very big person, and he will say, "Aao, tusi atthe bejo." Even if we have got a nature to stand by his side, but nahi, tusi bejo. Like that was his attitude, that he wanted to be as humble as possible. And my father had a deeper interaction with them, and he always tell, once he went to the post office, it was lunch time. तो उन्हें क्या मैं बाद आ जाऊँगा. My father was also standing behind him. तो उन्हें क्या नहीं तुसी रुको, मैं किसी ਨੂੰ कहना. उन्हें क्या नहीं ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ नहीं है. Like that, he never wanted that no one should know who he is, and he said, no, I will come again. But then my father quietly told the postmaster that finance minister, he was at that time in the planning commission, that he is standing and his passbook is to be updated. He said, nahi, de do mainu. So like that, he took it from him, and he said, thank you, and then he went. Like that was kind of humbleness. Anytime anybody who has interacted, he is very humble. But now I will come to the point. The time is limited. Now, as we had been, fortunately, that point has been raised by none other than the Nayatal himself. And I always feel that we can establish a chair to study Dr. Manmohan Singh work. Also, that will be a great way to honor his legacy and contribute to the field of economics. And I never knew that it will come from that, and that's why I had scribbled some way forward. So that means that shows how pious he was, that the Shrishti ke andar every mind is talking and syncing with each other. So now if we have to undertake, I will leave this paper with the institution and we can further dwell on this. What shall be the objective of such an institution or such a study? We can include study and research that can focus in-depth analysis of Dr. Manmohan's economic theories, policies and their impact on India's economy. In many theories, he has revolutionized the thinking concept, which should be further documented and do the thesis further on that. And knowledge dissemination, we can organize seminars, workshop or a memorial lecture, etc. on that. And then overall, we should do a capacity building, which of course will be training programs and fellowship, etc., which Nair Sahib has also mentioned. And then, of course, this will be a great aid to the economic reforms, because the kind of economic reforms he has opened, the nation has benefited a lot from that work, and then we should continue to harness that work. And there is a lot of learning involved for present day generation, because in those days, as Garg Sahab mentioned, solving the econometric modeling was not easy. It used to be very complex. But nowadays, computer become a very good aid. I know that one econometric model which I used to solve in 20 or 30 sheets, now we just give that equation to the computer and computer does the analysis, and it can also do the simulation also with the changing dynamics. So that's why the kind of theories, etc., which have been developed for privatization, for globalization under his era, that should now be further implemented and documented, and with the aid of AI, they can be really aid to you people. And then, of course, institutional setup, we can establish a governing board or advisory committee, and then appoint a chair, which could be any director can head. But then, most important is that we must have a secretariat to handle, because I have seen we can make big institutions, but if there is not a proper secretariat, we at times tend to lose the direction. So that secretariat will follow the mandate of that creation, and then I am sure over a period of time we will be successful in achieving that. And I only say you must read that book. And Professor Saab, I will request Professor Saab to give you a digital version of that book so that you can enjoy reading and further updating that content. Right, sir? Thank you very much, sir. I will leave this note with Professor Saab so that we can give it to the institution.
Sure. Baba Saab, always very exciting and I would say encouraging. And I also want to call on dais Tamal Mitra Saab. Please join. आइए आप भी बैठिए, क्योंकि अब तो ये we have to hear your views also. One area where the farm sector revolution is happening, we have Dr. Jagveer Rawat and both of them doing human service. May I now give the mic to our Khazanchi Saab. Few words, sir. यहाँ आ जाइए, sir. Yes. Please give a big hand to him.
Dignitaries here on the dais and dear students. We have heard a lot about Dr. Manmohan Singh as economist, as finance minister and as Prime Minister of India. I would like just to go back a little to his earlier days. Imagine a person born in undivided India, in a small village, what is in Pakistan now. And then the family shifts, when he is in his early teens, shifts to India. Most of the time, if you meet people of that era, or if you happen to know something about people of partition, They came to India and started with a bang on entrepreneurship, thinking that a lot of things had been lost back home and coming to a new place to establish. They would even start with small dabas, small wayside outlets, and to be improving their economic life, coming back to the reals. Then in that background of now you can see a gentleman who had pursued only the knowledge, the education. And it has been reported that his own father wanted him to be a doctor, which he didn't continue. No, he did join, but dropped out and did what suited him the most. Gentlemen, Dr. Manmohan Singh came from our Sikh community. In India, I tell you, without Sikhs, without this dynamic community, India would have been incomplete. This all of us must accept. And this man, he comes and proves not only to be joining, say, defense forces, we say, all army generals, most of them will find Sardars. No, pursuing intellectual lines and becoming something which he perhaps only worked for. He never wanted anything perhaps to get in return from it. Studying in those good old days in UK and then coming back, working as a professor, working here, all came to him. How? Because of his intellect. So much so that becoming a minister from nowhere, without anything to do with politics, without anything to have to do with any political party, he was just handpicked to take oath as finance minister. Why? That was his intellectual capacity, that economist in him, which gave him that job. Then came the time, 91, 96, he was with the Mr. Narasimha Rao, and then there was some turmoil between 96 and 99. 99, the government came to BJP and the associates. So naturally, he was in the background, but taking things very coolly. Since now he was affiliated to a party which had given him the first introduction to be a minister, he continued with the party. Without having, whatever we may say, whatever may be recorded, without having to do anything with that politics in the party. 2004, they win the elections. How did he become the prime minister? Did he manipulate it? Did he canvass for it? No. It came to him on his merit. It seems that there was nobody around who could take that chair without any controversy. And there he was. His first term, I recall very clearly, 2004 to 2009. You can even go to the records. It was brilliant, real brilliant. Somehow, whatever happened in the first term was outstanding. I had the good fortune of meeting him towards the end of that first term. He came to Bhutan to dedicate one of our completed projects to the peoples of two countries. And I had the occasion, the opportunity to be with him for almost a day, working day. He came in the morning. He had come to congratulate the newly elected democratic government of that country. And he wanted to be making a declaration for them to be going ahead head-on on hydropower development and water security. Without mentioning anywhere, without making a big drama out of it, that I did this or we did this. No, nothing. Quietly, he sat down with his secretary Power, who happened to be associated with our project also directly. Sits with him, come on now, what are the projects available here? Since it's very rich in hydropower resources, so he must have prepared this, some note for the minister, prime minister, and then what is the cost involved? So they work out a figure. And he makes a declaration that we will develop 20 gigawatts of hydropower development by the end of the second decade, that's 2020. Friends, that was only less than a year of that term. Came the second term, it started getting lukewarm at the level of the bureaucrats and all concerned. And I will tell you, at a lower level, including me, it really became lukewarm. That we had a lot of expectations now at the end of his second term, 2014 onwards. Unfortunately, I am honest. At this age, I want to tell you very clearly, we did not find any response for hydropower and this water security, which was available and which could be harnessed without any hassles, without any problems, without a lobby against, without a lobby for, yet it did not take off. So friends, I have a lot of respect for this man, this one man, for his intellect and quiet contribution to our nation. Great contribution. Thank you very much.
In fact, as I told you, Khazanchi Saab is a stalwart. He got the Druk Thukse, the highest civilian award of Bhutan for completion of the Tala. Tala happened before the announcement, like he said, 20 gigawatt, but finally, when I was going to Bhutan, I was there in 2008 and met him first. That time, 10 to 11 gigawatt was decided by 2020. And I think, all those projects were actually, paperwork was done, but the execution did not happen. Anyway, when you look at India's own development, I would say Bhutan has done better. Sir, we are exporting 3 gigawatt now into India. So by comparison, you would say that is a better performance. Both of you have achieved the projects. And Mishra Saab, who's not here, who's the other one, has done the Mangdechu 720 megawatt out of that entire list. But yes, I would say these last few years, hydropower again went down. So hydropower was lacking in focus. We did a little bit of magic. August 2008, we released the pump storage 100 gigawatt target for the government. And I released it in Hyderabad and put it into the CA. Now they're all running 69 gigawatt of pump storage. So it's all coming from there. I went back to Bhutan. I was just last week there. So what's happened is the Bhutanese are talking of 25 gigawatt. 20 gigawatt, which you say, was Pehle ki plan thi, plus 5 gigawatt of solar we announced in 2020, thanks to your support to us. That time I went and announced that they have a 5 gigawatt south-facing mountains, can do 5 gigawatt solar. It's because there's barely any rain, 20 days of rain, rest of it's all glacier melts in Bhutan. So basically they have a lot of solar insolation and heavy ones for 4 to 5 hours. It's absolutely brilliant. If the only thing is the terrain is difficult, so they have to decentralize it. So Bhutan may end up putting the 5 gigawatt of solar into the grid, into India. So nothing is lost, sir. Time is lost. But I can assure you, water has flown, as my friend Fubzam says in a new biography, water has flown, time has gone. But yes, lost time we can't cry on, but we can make do with the current time and dimension. So I think Manmohan Singh's vision will be seen through, and we'll see 25 gigawatt odd, being done by neighboring Bhutan. That could be game changer for us. Like Andhra did 24 gigawatt of pump storage, and that was game changer again, right? So the next thing I want is Rao Saab. Rao Saab has been involved with also the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and other things in the past, and also close to other government machinery right now. Rao Saab, 5 minutes for you now.
Good afternoon.
Come with power, man.
Well, we are talking about Manmohanomics and a chair to be established in this institution. The ideas should come from your side, because several ideas were floated, very researchable, and some of you might have noted it and said, yes, I can do something over it, start developing ideas on the chair itself. So friends, I got three things to say. Myself being at some level connected to late former Prime Minister, who was an academician. In 2004, I am also had been a professor in a university. I was president of the society, literary society. We organized on 5th September 2004 a seminar, academicians ruling the country. Because at that time, President Kalam was there, Prime Minister MANMOHAN Singh was there. The momentous moment in history of India from the ancient time, academicians were not ruling the country. Chief executive, the titular head, both were academicians. And we saw something big that day. We founded Assertive Academicians Group, AG. In book, a flame was there, and that was the logo. 20 years later, in Indian Society of International Law, which is beside Supreme Court, we commemorated that event. And to the current context, I had another thing to narrate. I will narrate that as well. That was first, the seminar, 20 years, we repeated it. And the idea in the Supreme Court we floated was quality of education. And your chairman, I have noted it very carefully, said, Dr. V.M. Bansal, he said to you, Harvard Business School graduates had 23% unemployment. And he vividly asked, what is the reason? Application of the knowledge. I noted that. So friends, have you noted some big ideas? By contributing at least one page for each of the personality. You should do that. Either you write a single line about, but leave the full page dedicated to person who are on the dais. And you should know the notes taking also. Left side, right side, what should be written. And I can show you the notes of few speakers I made. So with these ideas, I also tell you, some of you write blogs? Do you write blogs? I think if you see Harvard Business Review, see what are the contributions, how the students are contributing, or how they can contribute to the blogs. In Harvard Law Review, students cannot contribute. That forbids. But friends, they are the in-house journals and they have the global presence. National Geographic Society is a mouthpiece of US Geographic Society and it is viewed all over the world. So that is what Mr. V.M. Bansal was trying to say. And maybe he was applauding some of you going to some institute, I think Skylark group. You went there, you asked very good questions. So what are the good questions you have? You should, that's the in between I wanted to talk, and I want to finish with the third idea. In 2007, in Sultanpur, at Star TV, I criticized Dr. Manmohan Singh. and it was around 1 minute or above because I was criticizing the Prime Minister. So it was aired time and again. And I said, because I come from the farm sector, Prime Minister MANMOHAN Singh said that there is a technology fatigue. And I countered that. I said, if the existing technology are all transmitted to the farmers, all existing, the production enhancement can be up to 200%. And if you go to the data, several of the states, except Haryana, Punjab, maybe few more states, at that time, they were not at par with productivity, expected productivity, global expected productivity. And still there is a gap in that. So I said, he could be a great economist for organized sector. I'm afraid he is not like, that's what I said. And I was contacted by none other than by Janardhan Dwivedi. He asked why you were criticizing the Prime Minister, and you make a note of that. I presented a note over that, and technology fatigue was never repeated. So friends, take some ideas, good or bad, and from my perspective, I come from farm sector. I revered the moment 2004, 5th September. 24, we again remembered him, and our pay scales, teachers' pay scale, great contribution from him. But the globalization idea, third idea from his side, is now upside down. Deglobalization is happening, and that is the kind of, chair, the chair can see about that reformist Prime Minister of India who shaped the country's future. Still his idea can be very, very new. And some of you should, come forward to contribute to that. With all these three nuggets, I congratulate Professor Iyer on his marriage anniversary and also on a very good day. Thank you very much.
See, one of the most interesting things that came out with globalization. In my first book, I've written on two ideas, globalization and glocalization. It's important to understand glocalization because what is global has become local. So if you see things, this is like a metamorphosis. In management theory, metamorphosis is a dimension that continuously keeps changing. So it's only time dimension, it's like a fashion and fad. What did I told you about DeepSeek, right? What it did, it actually is a disruptor. It says without much, I can disrupt this whole game, right? So this happens over and over again. So I think the West is very worried. Two things happened with the West in the globalization era. One is that the other countries, basically whom we call today the developing or emerging economies. I call India not a developing, not an emerging economy because hamari wo jump hai na. It's like you are jumping, but you're not falling, but you're on the Niagara Fall. मतलब आप jump कर रहे हैं पर आप गिरे नहीं हैं. अभी वो jump, मतलब it's like a dream jump, you're doing like this, but you're not falling in, neither you're crossing, right? That is called transitional economy in my picture. So we are in a very long transitional path. हमने इसको इतना लंबा रबर बैंड की तरह बनाया हुआ है. ठीक है, हम कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं कर रहे हैं कि इस जंप को हम खत्म करें. So this is our situation. Neither we are falling fully, nor we are reaching the other side. So this is the type of jump. So this is very good for the Western economy because unlike China, we are not catching up. So their biggest fear is you should not catch up. So if you should not catch up, what should I tell you? Now I should talk about protectionism. So you will see our great man Trump over there. The moment he has come, he started reacting. He's now talking of tariffs. He's now talking of stopping our visas. So he is retrograde. He is now protectionist. More and more. So the same people who advocated globalization to you, and now they are afraid of the same system. So Manmohan Singh was not wrong. What we are all wrong because we don't see that that is the only route by which we can do what China is doing to others. So, and then the next thing that comes to me is, sir, हम तो डेमोक्रेसी हैं, हम कैसे करेंगे? हैं, वो तो बस ये बड़ा आसान वे है एस्केप करने का इस आर्ग्यूमेंट को कि भाई वो डेमोक्रेसी हम फलाना दिख रहा है. You know, see, I have started appreciating certain things of Xi Jinping, although I'm a big critic of that guy. You know, Xi Jinping has 2,000 experts, youngsters who have made his core think tank. He's trying to find from his next generation, and they don't come in. There's no favoritism, nothing. He brings these 2,000 fellows from different areas. So they help them in going forward to next dimension for the country. And that's why these deep sakes are born. So please understand, don't make a mistake. Time is not gone. India's Niagara Fall jump forever is going on. Transitional economy is in transition, but somewhere it will transit and become a developed economy. And that's what the West fears us for, right? And so they will give you all the nice things. They'll pat your backs, tell you great. They will all come to the Kumbh because they want you to continuously be at the Kumbh only, right? Because then what will you do? You will not compete with them, no? So be careful. While you have to go to the Kumbh, that is not going to bring your economy. What is going to bring your economy is every child should be told that his or her future lies in Swayambhu. You know, apna haath Jagannath, not on anybody else. This is what we have to give. This is the mental framework on which we have to work. Because the Chinese have done that to their children. Right? Their children are very, very clever. The children are faster. You know, we said we are the IT giants. No. How many IT softwares our IT guys made? Minus Tally, which has come from TCS. Have you seen any other software built by the Indians? We are the back office of the world. And we are celebrating the IT sector. And here our engineers are building dams. We are building solar plants. Are we celebrating what is being done? So, हमारे यहाँ बड़ी hype चल रही है कि ये IT हो गया. IT कितना employment दे रहा भाई? Employment तो हमारे बांधों में है, हमारे NTPCs में है, हमारे NHPCs में है, हमारे कई even whether we like it or not, आज सारी discussion अडानी अंबानी की होती रहती है. पर अडानी के तो सारे physical assets हैं. मानते हैं 25,000 30,000 लोग हैं, लेकिन वो physical assets हैं, ports हैं. They are airports. So be careful. You see more people getting employed in airports, not in IT sector. So our narrative has to change in this country. Media has gone wrong. They don't understand. हमारे टाइम पे थर्मैक्स के उस समय उन्नी कृष्णन MD बने थे. उनके पहले जब उन्नी कृष्णन खाली सीनियर मैनेजर थे, आज मेरे दोस्त हैं, मोनाश यूनिवर्सिटी का काम करते हैं, तो उस समय उनके जो सीनियर्स थे उन्होंने कहा, अयर साहब ये बताओ, हाउ डू यू होल्ड द इंजीनियर्स, वी पेइंग 35,000 सैलरी, पर ये वो इन्फोसिस ले जाती है 4,500 रुपये में और बनाती है क्या? आई डोंट वांट टू से क्या बनाती है आपको. हमाली बनाती है और क्या बनाती है? योर बैक एंड हमाल्स. सो वी हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल. We should not front load even now AI on the economy, just like IT we front loaded. And we failed miserably to provide jobs to our people. So sooner we understand there is a big strength in brick and mortar, better for us. So sir, my prayer, globalization is still on. And we have to join that because we have to fight the same forces that China conquered in a way. China is 20 trillion plus. It cannot become without going to that direction. So we need to also say, hum bhi isme hai. We're also part of this game, right? Nothing different. The West can say, oh, if so many Indians consume, what will happen? It will increase my GDP anyway, right? So that's what we need to work on. Thank you, my friends. The next, I think, whom to now call, Hamare Goel Saab, then we'll have the lady, Supriya, and then we'll go. Aye, sir. This dice is to you.
Well, dignitaries on the dais and the participants in this august house. Well, I have not directly been having any interaction with Dr. Manmohan Singh, but I've been a great follower of his ideals of the Sustainable Development Goals. The motto of this International Business and Economy Summit today, SDG Economy. I consider that Dr. Manmohan Singh was a great economist, duly considering the intention and the follow-up required for Sustainable Development Goals. What are the Sustainable Development Goals? I'll give you a simple example. Way back in mid-70s, when I was working in Himachal hydropower development, I would travel to Manali from Sundarnagar, look at Pando Dam. In the month of December, the whole water is diverted for generation of power at Pando Dam, and the river becomes dry. It used to hit me that river has never to be dry, and some water should be released for the purpose of conservation of environment. But that was not the legislation or the requirement at that point of time. Same thing happened. It was 78. The water is not released from Pando Dam except in monsoons. When water is more, it automatically flows in the river, and the river gives you a river-like look, but not in winter months. Nathwa Jhadi project came up, commissioned in 2003. I was working in Nathwa Jhadi project. When we would pass that Nathwa Dam, the whole water is diverted for generation at Jakadi, and the river becomes dry unless some tributary joins downstream. So we from Himachal, we took up with various governments that there should be a principle of minimum release all the time from the dam for the purpose of environment conservation, for the life of fish or the other things. And later on, it became a reality. And this is what is now, if you go to any diversion dam, irrigation or hydropower or whatever, now there are minimum releases ensured by law under legislation. So the river should look like river all the time. This is what I would say is the sustainable development for a hydroelectric project. The same kind of developments are required for all kinds of economic development. And these, when I look at Karcham Dam, which we built from the private sector from Jayaprakash Group, we could not start the project, although all clearances, technical, economic, environmental, forest, all clearances are available with us. The local people would not allow us to take up the construction. They say, what for us? The power, generated power will go to the neighboring states and lot of development will come up there. What for us? Then the concept of local area development activities had not come up at the government level. We started talking to them, talking to village panchayats, to their leaders. What do they need? They want roads, they want the community toilets, they want the primary schools, they want the public health centers. So they were not wrong in demanding this from a developer. So we started making agreements with them called as local area development activities. We'll spend the project money, give to panchayats to make them or make for them. So this is a social development. And later on, the government made through legislation that 1% of the project cost in a hydroelectric project or a dam project would be there all the time for LADA, local area development activities. This is what is called a SDG economy. So we can travel together, the development and the social or the environmental or other such considerations parallelly, side by side. So there cannot be, I don't care for you, that attitude won't work, either knowingly or unknowingly. So social development goals, economy is a must. Now we have the dreams that India would become a Viksit economy, maybe #1 economy. I may not be there to see it in 2047 or earlier or little later. But the way to achieve this will be sustainable development goals economy. And for that, all of us have to work very hard. All of us have to put in our blood through the developmental projects, through all kinds of developments, whether it is education, whether it is scientific development, all kinds of development. We have to work very hard only then we can come up and achieve this objective. But this is achievable only we have to look at SDG economy and work very hard, and we'll get it. Thank you.
We are almost in the paucity of time zone, so I need to give quick talk now. 2 minutes to you, and then who is left? 2 minutes to you. So you're the last two, right? And Tamal Mitra. So I think 6 minutes between, and I think we'll have the patience for that. Yes, Supriya first. Please give a big hand. भाई तालियों में ना जोर होना चाहिए, तुम लोग गैंगस्टर हो यार.
Greetings, everyone. Well, before I congratulate our dignitaries here on the pious occasion of the launch of Dr. Manmohan's book, I would like to confess something in here. And my confession goes this way, that I'm a big fan of yours, in the sense that, of course, it's because of the praises that I have been hearing so far from Chairman Sir and other places, no doubt. And I personally as well follow some of you on LinkedIn, if not other platforms. Plus, that's not it. NDIM's students are known in places more than you know of. So that's where I'm coming from. That's why I say I'm a big fan of yours. A big round of applause for yourselves. Keeping up to time, my very short memory with Dr. Manmohan Singh, not that I'm a big fan of politics, or follower rather of politics, but I remember that was the time when I was growing up as a kid, and I used to really admire him for his intellect, power, and humility. Check out these words very carefully: intellect, power, and humility. It is the rarest combination that you will find in a single human being, the rarest of all. Because someone who is powerful, you will rarely find them humble. And at the same time, that person would most probably be deprived of real intellect. So it's a rare combination of intellect, power, and humility. And being a non-resident Indian, going around and hearing people of what our Prime Minister was as a human being was certainly a matter of pride. Whether you talk of the $13 trillion economy by 2032 or the $31 trillion economy by 2047, there's one thing that remains common for all of us. In addition to the history and the geography and the civics and the engineering, plus more subjects which would be required in terms of bringing our ideas into action, which have also been discussed here by the learned gentlemen, would be the intent. What is our intent of doing a certain thing or taking a certain action? Very quickly, with due respect to the time that I have been given, if I have to have one or two ideas on if you had $1, or let's say you had 100 rupees, what would you do with that in order to contribute to the Indian economy? Very quick ideas, some 3-4 ideas. If you had 100 rupees today, how would you use that in order to contribute to the Indian economy?
Yes, come on.
You're the think tanks, come on. Now, please don't come and tell me that 100 rupees mein to kuch bhi nahi hota hai. We don't even get a coffee in a place where we might probably want to have a coffee. Nahi milti na, Starbucks mein bhi nahi milti, 100 mein to coffee nahi aati hai. But 100 can do a big deal. Few ideas? Investing in? Okay. Yes. Some more ideas. Spending? No? We are talking about the future generation who's going to take this economy forward. And we are looking for some ideas on how to use $100 in order to contribute to our Indian economy, the largest democracy in the world in the present date. Take it as your homework, if not now.
Say a few words.
Take it as your homework, if not now. Because it does matter on what your intent is with a given resource. What do you want to do with it? How do you want to make use of it? Or rather, where do you want to make use of it? Please keep that in mind when you're making any decision, whether in your educational institution or in the corporate world going forward, or some of you might become entrepreneurs, so to say. There might be different dimensions that you'd be taking up. But what is your intent of doing a certain thing in contributing to the economy that you belong to? And when we are contributing to the Indian economy, it's not just the Indian economy, we are contributing globally. I would like to rest my case with that. And thank you all for patient listening.
Supriya, I have the thought, I always say, you said something regarding intent, right? There are only 3 ideas in that. Take it from me today. Intent, content and context. अगर इन तीनों पे काम किया तो you're a champ. Remember what I said? Intent, content and context. Only 3 ideas. You work on it. I'm telling you, keep it in your head, what I said today, and you will be successful. Intent, content, context. Inderdeep Singh.
Yeah, good evening to all of you. Dr. Iyer. We've been friends together, and I've got a couple of invitations in this hall also. And it's really good. I appreciate all of you maintaining, I think, 90% plus attendance starting the function until the end of the function today. So you've been sitting here hearing patiently. I am not an advocate to tell what you got to do. I was sitting there listening to those stalwarts, embracing the points everyone was trying to say. Nair Sahab said humility. That's the one word. I remember I met Dr. MANMOHAN Singh when I was 23. After my engineering 91, I joined a company called Newchem Limited. They were coming up with a plant in Tohana. They were making a MDF board. And the chairman, Mr. Barar, I was in the technical cell, a very young engineer. I don't know why the chairman of that company took me. He said, we have got meeting with Prime Minister Narasimha Rao. We went to Racecourse Road. Now at that time, it didn't actually, वो होता है ना आपको कि आप जब जाते हो पहले तो आप नहीं समझते हो ये क्या कर रहे हो आप. A very young student, just passed out, 2 साल job में 93 it was. Narasimha, it was a big table. Narasimha Rao was sitting there in his, like these days you make those selfie, na, you make that pout faces like this. So he used to sit like that, making the face like that. And he kept on listening to us. So this plant is coming in Haryana, we want duty reduction, excise and all those things. Immediately, Dr. MANMOHAN Singh enters as a finance minister. He was standing and we were all sitting. So Narasimha Rao asked him, Doctor Sahab, बैठो. नहीं, engineer बैठे हैं ना, I should be standing. These were the words which hit me. That an economist really caring for an engineer. And he saw us off when we went out. And Narasimha Rao didn't come, but he came and... So I'm talking about the humility which you say, it has to be there. Second point which I just embraced was the technical knowledge that we as a students we should share. I am chairman for Institution of Engineers India, Faridabad Center, which we have Faridabad and Gurgaon, totally we are managing. So we have a student membership in our engineering institutions. We take 236 rupees, 200 plus 18% GST from the student member. It's a 1-year fee, and we have very many activities, technical, commercial, intellectual activities, wherein we actually invite students to present their cases and papers. So I would like to mention that I'll talk to Bansal Sahab also. So if I can have some of you people joining us in those activities free of cost and see what you can do. So I would just invite you on that. And I'm really grateful that Professor Iyer has given us a platform to interact, to deliberate, to hear the views. Kazansi Saab, a wonderful man. He does not remember me, but I remember him. I met him in 2003-04 at Gedu, Tala. There was a conference. I was a young speaker. I presented a paper. No, it was in the auditorium of the Tala project, and I presented a paper on SBR technology. That's a polymer which we were doing. So effectively, all these stalwarts had something to say, and like Rawat Sahab said, लिखो, सोचो, रात को सोचो क्या बोला था, उसको कैसे implement करना है. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
So you guys are getting all the inspired speakers. I know I'm keeping you waiting. Now, last but not the least, Tamal, and I have one more friend of mine who must speak. Last में vote of thanks आपको दे देंगे, हमारे धर्मेंद्र टुगर साहब को. But we have two guests amongst us. Please give them a big hand. They are industrialists. They are in the area of hydropower and construction, etc. Fayaz Chigode. Yes, sir. So can we see him so that the students can see? So businessman from Maharashtra. And we have his colleague, Mr. Acharya, if I'm not mistaken. Ave Prakash. Okay, Ave Prakash ji. Here, please give them a big hand. So I called them here because we have some discussions going on, but I wanted them to see this, what happened. You know, Nair Sahab left up thoda late aaye. So book release hua, Nair Sahab was here. So they gone for their board meeting here. So anyway, wonderful, sir. Mitra Sahab, quick one. And then we'll have Dharmendra to close it for us.
Good evening, everyone. And good evening, the distinguished guest out here. As Professor Iyer has introduced me, I'm into a farm segment. And I think many of you won't like what is this farm segment is doing in an MBA college. Now, very first thing I would like to ask one question too. How many of you know about these SDGs? How many numbers of SDGs are there? 17. Very good. Now, of these 17, how many of you think by your own individuality, you can contribute something into it? There are few what you can do it. And what Dr. Supriya has just asked you, 100 रुपए में क्या कर सकते हो इंडियन इकोनॉमी के लिए? 5 पैकेट चिप्स खरीद लो 20 रुपए के, इंडियन इकोनॉमी के लिए 5 रुपए आएगा, फार्म्स के लिए 5 रुपए जाएगा.
भाई गोलगप्पे खाओगे तो भी तुम कंट्रीब्यूट करोगे यार.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह, मैं कभी उनसे मिला नहीं हूँ, I have never met him, but he did one thing in 2000 when the economy was opened. The foreign companies has came in, PepsiCo has came in. If PepsiCo wouldn't have been in India, we wouldn't have a Lay's. Okay. And how many of you are thinking about how the farm actually working on it? I am not like Dr. Rawat, I am not from a farm educated person. I've been into business management for a long time. For last 5 to 6 years, I'm into the, totally it's a passion for me to get into the farm. And I feel really bad. I feel really disheartened. I don't get an MBA for the rural segment. None of you think to be come into the rural segment and do something. And I bet in 1 year you will be millionaire. Even if you work for an MNC and you come to the rural segment, in 1 year you will be millionaire. Just work on that. What rural segment is required? As he said, the technology was never into the rural segment. And still now it is not in the rural segment. And if the food is not there, no AI can help you to work on it. I'm very sorry to say. We are talking about DeepSeek, we can talking about QN, I think Alibaba. But honestly, if you don't have a food with you, if you don't be fed, and India is in a very bad condition of the food. Last year, we imported $3 billion of food. Ab jo dal, edible oils, desi ghee is imported. We need management guys into the rural segment. Sitting out here, anybody can do AI and can get a big draft of anything even I do, to check how the AI is working. With the AI, you can make a music right now. But in rural segment, they are not into that way. The technology is there. But technology is not gone there because nobody can manage it. Few days back, I was talking with one Japanese company. They are 100 years old company. They are main focus into the tomato farmings. And they have farms all across the world. And they are right now planning to invest in India. One thing is that a tomato in 1 acre of land yields 10 quintals. But if the same 1 acre of land, I make it a poly house, it goes 100 plus. So somebody needs to manage, somebody needs to make these farmers to understand. And there is a dearth of people like you to be there. It is not that you open up a stock market and will be an investment banker. Someday you will make more money and someday you will lose money. But in agro segment, you won't be losing any money ever. Now another thing, I come into into the farm segment, which on every alternate day I am having a discussion with him. How many of you know about biofuels? Ethanol. Now, let me explain. How many of you know about ethanol? Can you raise hands? How many know about this CBG, this bio-CNG? Gobar gas is one of it. It's one of it. Now, you see, sometimes we missed out certain things. We all buy something in the street and we just throw it up in a very bad way. Even all the MCDs and the corporations, when they collect wastages, all the time they say you dissect it's a dry waste will be other, the wet waste will be other, but we don't do it. Do you know it's a multi-billionaire business? Now you see, any of the big company in the earth, they are into this waste management. But nobody there to manage, no MBAs are there. Kachre wale kama rahe. So let's come back to the farm segment. There's one thing called Napier grass. The Napier grass has been introduced in India for last 5 to 6 years. It's also called African grass. Though it has bought in India for fodder only. Now whatever I'm talking about into these SDGs, the bio, the sustainability and renewability. You might be surprised, our fodders are also imported. गाय भैंस की चारा हमें import करना पड़ता है. We cannot grow, we cannot extend like what Dr. Iyer just told me that we are into a transition. हम कहीं पे पहुंच नहीं पा रहे. That is the only one part. Because we need management guys like you into there. And you will be getting the same salary what you are getting out here. हाँ, थोड़ा कष्ट करना पड़ेगा, हर टाइम AC नहीं मिलेगा. So Napier gas is also inputs to biofuel, a bio CNG. That's the future. That's what we are talking about. Today dollar has crossed 87. So this year, our imports of food and ethanol cost will be more higher. Your prices will be more inflated. But I cannot guarantee whether your MNCs will be giving you that extra salary to you. So work on the nation. Think about the nation. It is not that what US is doing, what China is doing, they have done their part. It is the Indians we need to do to go for 2047. Because I also may not be there in 2047 as Goel Sahab said, but you will be there. And you will have an ample of food. So work on this 17 SDGs. You do not need to work on all those things. Your people are working on ESGs. So these are the things you need to work on it. And think about, there is a place beside this Delhi, which we call the rural India. Because all the economy is there. 17% of India's GDP, direct GDP, is from the agriculture segment. Thank you, and all the best to you.
See, you guys have not gone through my CREST program, so maybe that will be the next introduction. So we'll come to know what is CBG, because the policy was made by us. The REPA was the one which made the policy on Satat Plus. Now we are talking of 5 tons per day gas built, which can be coming out of all the 6,40,000 villages. India is 6,40,000 गाँव है India में. 6,40,000 villages we have. So one revolution is if 2 megawatt of solar is put in each village, we don't need too much of land. So that would be about 1280 gigawatt on the grid, which is 3 times the current installed capacity of India. Similarly, if we make 5 tons of CBG, barely 30% we will use. The rest of it can be used for bionic hydrogen production or directly exporting CBG. So this is a revolution waiting to happen. Last week, I got one of the LinkedIn, there's a friendship. Suddenly, he sent me a message. I realized that it was the 3rd son of Vilasrao Deshmukh ji. His name is Dheeraj Vilasrao Deshmukh. He's a foreign educated man. He's just now built a 7 to 8 ton plants in Latur, his father's place. And I can tell you, this kind of a plant will cost you 50 crores. And I can tell you, once you make this plant, you don't need to own anything. You can run your entire life on that one single plant. I remember the first plant was 10 years back and we bought into the scheme that was at Varnanagar. How many of you know there is a place called Varnanagar in India? It is the first rural engineering township of India and the only one. And according to me, it is the only engineering township of Asia. Have you heard of this place? It's near Kolhapur. And it's a gentleman by the name of Tatya Sahib Kore, whose biography I have to write. In fact, the cooperative movement of India was started by Tatya Sahib Kore. He is called the Sahakar Maharshi in Maharashtra. So these are the stories you are not aware. Varghese Kurianji was definitely the milk revolution and cooperative man. But the father of cooperative movement in the world was a gentleman from Maharashtra by the name of Tatya Sahib Kore. And his grandson Vinayak Kore built the first 4.5 tons per day CBG plant using scrubbers and old technology. And that same plant was, doubled and modified with Evonik membrane at Rohtak, owned by Captain Sandhu, Spectrum Renewable. And it was the first plant of its kind producing 8 tons per day using membrane technology. So don't think that India is not into tech. In these areas of rural, we are into tech. I can assure you, and this revolution is breaking. Reliance has just announced in Andhra Pradesh, we made a Vizag declaration. You're not aware about it. We have the sheet. Tyagarajan could probably share with them. So I had criticized the COP29, and that declaration was made with the help of the state of Andhra Pradesh, because Andhra Pradesh is doing fantastic right now. It's the best energy state of the country. So we released it there, and I can assure you that CBG will be a greater revolution than even pump storage if it is worked upon. It's that kind of a model. And Rawat Sahib is also working with me on that. So with this, I think I close, and I know you guys need to go. You have all been very patient and hearing it. Let me request Dharmendra Dugar to please, what you heard from us and what you feel, आपकी language में हिंदी में बोलिए. No issues. Please give him a big hand.
डॉक्टर साहब को पहले तो बहुत बहुत बधाई, और मैं सबका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ. बहुत बढ़िया लगा ये प्रोग्राम, और अपने को बहुत मेहनत करना है आगे हिंदुस्तान को बढ़ाने के लिए. धन्यवाद.
Any questions from you? I'll open it for 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll close. Any questions? Don't feel shy. Anything that you wish to ask. You should have gained something out of this, right? कुछ तो trigger किया होगा ना दिमाग में. हाँ. चलो कमेंट्स. अभी देखो 100 रुपए को आपको बोला क्या करोगे इंडियन इकोनॉमी के लिए, आप कुछ कर नहीं पाए. सुप्रिया जी ने इतना अच्छा आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया. हाँ, तो अभी कुछ यू मस्ट कम फॉरवर्ड, सम ऑफ यू, राइट? Anything in your mind. You don't think that any question is silly or anything. Every question is good question. Please come out. A couple of questions before we go. I want to see some energy in you guys. Come on, who starts it? Who does it? नहीं करोगे तो यार वो उसमें होता है ना, सब कुछ समझ गए या कुछ भी नहीं समझे. इन दोनों में से एक बात होगी. Come on. दोनों ठीक है. Nobody wants to ask any question. यार तुम्हारी जनरेशन सवाल होने चाहिए. Come on. Come on. Anything in your mind?
Sir.
Yes.
I have one question, sir.
Great.
What will be the impact of US withdrawal on the SDG goals?
Okay, it's an interesting question. I would tell you one thing. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are irreversible. Because see, होता क्या है, लॉ ऑफ मोमेंटम में एक बार आप कहते हैं ना, एक बार छोड़ दिया तो उसको रोकना भी बड़ा मुश्किल है. उसको आप स्लो डाउन कर सकते हैं, रोक नहीं पाएंगे. सो बेसिकली US may not be the main target, because if you look at what renewable energy is, or the renewable energy is part of the sustainability goal. In fact, it is front loaded now. लोग ज़्यादा renewable कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें China and India are leading the game. So US is not at all in the game of renewables. Its next is European Union, and next उसके बाद अफ्रीका आ रही है. They are also joining the bandwagon of renewable energy. So now it is not going to be that US is interested in it. The world has got interested in it. So it's US own this thing, that they got their own outlook. It could be political, because he has to, Trump has to please his, financiers from Texas. So he's making those statements. But inside, I can tell you that US Department of Energy itself will continue to make moves in the renewable energy and sustainability. So there is no scope for reversing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, if they leave it, we should catch it with both hands and deploy it. That is my answer to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Open forum, huh? देखिए उसने बड़ा अच्छा सवाल पूछा. Come on, do that. भाई, this is the best breed according to me. जो यहाँ बैठे हैं, इंडिया की लाख में मानी जाएगी ना. तो आपसे अगर सवाल नहीं आता तो फिर तो बाकी कोई सवाल नहीं पूछेगा.
Sir, I have a question actually. Sir, respected sir talked about that the development of rural economy, we should be focusing more on that. Sir, at one hand we are trying to urbanize the rural sector to bring the infrastructure more efficient out there, and at the other hand we are talking about the increase of agriculture in the rural. How these both can be aligned in a one way where we can do the both actually?
See, we have two people who can answer. We have Dr. Rawat and Mitra Sahab also. Dr. Rawat Sahab, would you like to go?
As a business student, find a scalable model. Just I can say to that. Find a scalable model. scalable model, scalable model. Look into something Professor Iyer emphasized, Varna. And from my side, let me tell you, take one nugget. From the waste, combine the gas production, the biogas, and the bioorganic fertilizer. And you have got a great winner. One idea, you can take it from my side. Yeah, that's what I can say. One thing, just one thing.
Yeah.
As you very rightly said, that there is a urbanization in rural segment, that what we want to do. Now, what is urbanization? That we want to make a skyscrapers? It's not that. What he said, you have to create something. Now the infrastructure is already there, but nobody is there to manage it. If you think sitting out in Delhi, we can manage something in Madhya Pradesh, it is impossible. So that is the reason the managers are required. Workers are there. You do not have a problem with the workers. I am not asking you to go and do farming out there. I am asking you to manage the thing. How the things will be coming down to the urban area, like in big cities, or how the cities out there will grow, the tier 2, tier 3 cities. That's it. Urbanization will be there. We are trying that, but it is not that we are creating as skyscrapers. You see if you go nearby area like Noida, the greater Noida, that this airport is, Jewar airport is getting, that is the urbanization is happening. But the area out there, do you think it's an urban area? It's highly skyscrapers village. All the facilities are not out there. So that way you need to think. You come up with something.
I want to say something. Huh?
Yeah, just 10 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a book by the name of Managing on the Edge by Richard Tanner Pascal. It doesn't solve only this problem, but many problems where we are at the brink of deciding what to do and what not to do, because it works on the and model and not the either or model. You don't have to choose either this or that. You can have both, and how to go intellectually about having both of them at the same time is what the book talks about. It's called Managing on the Edge by Richard Tanner Pascal.
So, any other questions or we wind up? Over? Done? Okay, all the best. All the best to all of you.
Before closing, the digital version of this MANMOHAN Granth is available with Professor Pravina Kaur. So anybody wishing to have it can receive it from her. Thank you very much.
You can read it digitally. Thank you all. I think we will have one last picture opportunity.